I want to teach children worldwide that people with disabilities or differences who look or act differently are humans with emotions too. I hope children will feel reading my book that people with disabilities or differences who look or act differently are humans with emotions too, and they can do anything as everyone else can, just need to work 10 times hard for it.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the We're Not Stumped podcast. I'm your host, Mike Bolland, and today I welcome Jessica Frew. Jessica is an actress, model, and disability advocate. She has done all this with cerebral palsy and has been using an eye gaze application to communicate since she was age 9. We're going to learn about all of that and even more today with Jessica. But first, Jessica, I just want to say thank you for taking the time for being on the We're Not Stumped podcast.
My pleasure.
Well, again, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. There's so many questions I have for you because I admire everything that you do. Some of your early communications, can you share what it was like to start using the eye gaze machine at 9?
I got my Toby when I was 9, but I never used it to talk to anyone, not even my family. I kept my computer in my bag when I was at home. I only used it at school for schoolwork and communication with my best friend. I never used it with anyone else. Because people were looking at, talking about, and judging me differently during this time, I decided not to use my computer to talk to anyone outside of my family or in public. I felt really useless and not aware of myself because of other people. So much so that I didn't think I was worth enough to use my computer to talk to anyone. I regret that I never got to have a full chat with my dad on the computer before he died. It didn't matter that we had our own way of talking to each other and that we fought a lot through my eyes without using my computer. The thing I regret most in life is that I never talked to my dad on the computer. Now I'm wondering what the hell was wrong with Jessica and how I let that happen. Even on his hospital deathbed, I knew he was going to die. That would have been the perfect time to finally talk to my dad on the computer, but I didn't. It still hurts me that I didn't have the courage to talk to my dad on the computer before he died. Like how I could let other people make me feel so useless that I couldn't even use my computer to talk to my dying father. I still don't get how I let that happen. But I still didn't talk to my computer in public for a few years after that, and the way I talked to it got worse when I stopped talking to my best friend on the computer. Then, when I was 16, I continued to talk to my best friend on the computer. I began to talk to the school's helpers on my computer a little more. But not a lot, and not in public or with my family either. My best friend and I had a fight the following year. I talked to my computer a lot more with the aides and my mother a little, but that was all I did at the start of that year. As the year went on, I got better at using my computer to talk to my mother, the school's aides, and 2 close cousins. Even though I made friends online while I was at home, I still didn't talk to my computer in public. In the fall of that year, I started hanging out with someone I had known for a long time but had never talked. We started to talk and hang out. They gave me the courage to speak in public, but that person is no longer in my life, and I never get the chance to talk to them again, but that's a story for another time. My point is that one person can make a big difference in someone else's life by being kind and treating them like a regular human being.
What challenges have you faced due to being nonverbal, and how have you addressed some of the common misconceptions about communication?
People too automatically generalize me to have a severe cognitive neurological disability. In other words, they think I'm just looking into space when they see me for the first time. So they talk to me like a 2-year-old, or they talk about me to someone else in front of my face like I'm not there. I addressed common misconceptions about communication by talking and educating people on these misconceptions.
Well, with this eye gaze machine and the empowerment you have due to the technology, how has the technology empowered you to express yourself and advocate for others with similar experiences?
After I got the confidence to communicate with my CC device, it gave me a powerful voice to stand up for myself, and it helps me to give others a voice.
You know, another question I had, something I've read about you, has to do with the Runway of Dreams experience. What was it like modeling at the New York Fashion Week, the Runway of Dreams, and did that opportunity impact your confidence or advocacy work?
Well, it was okay. But the truth is the runway of dreams puts people with disabilities in their category away from regular fashion shows. Individuals with disabilities should be included in regular fashion shows with non-disabled models, not in fashion shows made for people with disabilities. In my opinion, that's obliged, and my goal is to fight to include models with disabilities in regular fashion shows with non-disabled models.
I love that answer, by the way. And the adaptive fashion insight, some other things I wanted to ask you. In your opinion, how is the fashion industry evolving? And hopefully it is, maybe it isn't, to become more inclusive. And what changes would you like to see in adaptive fashion?
Once again, models with disabilities are in a specific category away from non-disabled models. It is very rare that models with disabilities and non-disabled models are together in campaigns, etc. Mainly, models are for adaptive clothing or diverse campaigns. We don't see models with disabilities modeling for regular clothing brands or in regular campaigns without being for diversity. With that said, I would like to see adaptive fashion included with the normal clothes, not put it in a specific category nobody hears about, and I want more brands to be open to the idea of starting an adaptive line.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And some of the other things you've done some acting and even storytelling. So, as far as your acting roles, you've acted in productions like Surviving the Cartel and Crispy. How do you approach roles that authentically represent individuals with disabilities?
Well, I normally audition for non-disabled roles to show producers and casting directors we can play non-disabled characters as non-disabled actors can play disabled characters.
That makes sense. I believe you've also come out with a book, and it's called The Nonverbal Princess, which draws from personal experience. What inspired you to come out with a book, a children's book?
I wanted to write a children's book because people have treated me differently since I was young and thought I wouldn't know anything because I was nonverbal. Hence, people used to say very mean stuff right before me without realizing I could understand everything they were saying, making me feel worthless. I didn't even have the confidence to communicate with my computer in public or even with my family. I just used it for schoolwork until I found the confidence in myself. I want to teach children worldwide that people with disabilities or differences who look or act differently are humans with emotions too. I hope children will feel reading my book that people with disabilities or differences who look or act differently are humans with emotions too, and they can do anything as everyone else can, just need to work 10 times hard for it.
Can you tell us about your upcoming projects, such as Truly Yours and the series pilot about an interabled couple? What messages do you hope those stories convey?
Truly Yours is a love story about a star college quarterback with a dark past who falls in love with a student who has CP. The past of Isabella is about a girl named Isabella, a sarcastic, witty, clever girl who happens to have quite a checkered past. She also has cerebral palsy and is nonverbal. She uses an eye gaze computer to communicate. The story is romantic between Isabella and her newlywed husband, but it's also a riveting thriller that involves kidnapping, sex trafficking, and a variety of other illegal and often horrifying acts. Isabella finds herself in the current terrifying situation she is in, kidnapped and facing possible rape and death. Decisions she has made in the past. Thus, our 8-episode series kicks into action. Let me tell you, it's truly captivating. These stories is to can show the world that people with severe disabilities can experience everything that regular people do, especially love, crime, etc.
Well, I am looking forward to learning more about Truly Yours, the series and the pilot. Do you have any future writing endeavors? Anything else you're looking to do in the future?
Oh yes, there are many stories I'm passionate about exploring in future writing projects. One is about a school shooting targeting students with disabilities and standing up for disability rights in a picture-perfect society.
Wow, that sounds very interesting. As you go through your various platforms, what are some of your primary goals for advocating for individuals with disabilities?
I have goals. My main goal is going to the government about passing a law that requires a class and training course in school systems, emergency services, the workplace, etc., about disability history and requirements mandatory and treating individuals with disabilities with equal treatment, respect, and direct contact without fear or awkwardness, because the root of the case of ableism is the lack of education about individuals with disabilities. Yes, it would help if we do other things to help stop ableism, but we can't entirely stop something if we can't get to the root of the problem. Also, increase the limit of your monthly income before Medicare cuts off, because Medicaid only allows you to make $2,800 or less a month without risking their Medicaid, but people can't live off of $2,800 a month. So, people with disabilities have to choose between making a living or keep getting funding for what they need to live, including myself.
As you reflect on your journey, what are some of the moments that stand out to you as pivotal in shaping your identity and mission?
One of the moments just happened a few months ago. I joined the sorority at my old school, and they didn't include me in anything school-related. They said horrible things about me and my disability. I was down and I was in a dark place. Something happened to make realize you have the power to see the light in the darkness and fight as never before. Although it took something scary to happen to find God and Jesus and to understand how their powers work, but I'm glad I finally found them and let them in. People don't understand you can't control negative things from happening, but you have control over how it affects your mentality.
What advice would you offer to other individuals, other young individuals with disabilities aspiring to enter the field of modeling, acting, or writing?
My advice is the light isn't always noticeable or easy to find, but it is here. Just you need to find it.
Jessica, thank you so much for being a guest on the We're Not Stumped podcast.
My pleasure.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the We're Not Stumped podcast. I have an ask for everyone that got to this point of the podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe. The reason is simple. These stories need to be shared. It will help it to get out there to the people that really need to hear these stories.